Faith and trust in Jesus. The story of Peter on the water. Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33. Immediately he, Jesus, made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But by this time the boat, battered by the waves, was far from the land, for the wind was against them. And early in the morning he came walking toward them on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified, saying, "It is a ghost!" And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat, started walking on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he noticed the strong wind, he became frightened. And beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me!" Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him, saying to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" When they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Here we have the story of Peter walking on the water. At this instance, Peter and the rest of the apostles were crossing over to the other side of the sea without Jesus. They were already a great distance away from the shore, and the winds were against them, making it hard for them to make any progress towards the opposite shore. It was at this time that Jesus started to come to them across the water. When they noticed him while he was still far away, they thought he was a ghost and were overcome with fear. Seeing their distress, Jesus called out a comforting, reassuring word. "It is I. Do not be afraid." It was at this time that Peter stood up and decided to take a chance. He called out, saying, "If it is you, Lord, command me to come out to you on the water." Only Jesus, the Son of God, would have the power to allow Peter to walk on the water. Jesus did not hesitate. "Come," was his reply. It was all Peter needed to leave the safety of his boat and take his first steps towards Jesus. We as Christians also have the same choices set before us. You can stay back in your own boats, if you will, due to comfort or fear, or you can put your faith in Jesus and leave the safety of the boat and come to him. Leaving the boat is a huge step in your journey towards Jesus. The boat stands for the safety and comfort of your salvation when you do nothing with it. We're all in this boat at some point in our lives. It's easy to be content with our own salvation when we receive it, but it isn't where we're supposed to stay forever. We are all called by God. We all have a special work to do for him, a calling that he has placed upon us, a part in his commission. Walking on the water towards Jesus is both an act of faith and an act of obedience to the calling God has given us. He didn't call us to sit on the sidelines. He called us to come out on faith in him and journey towards him. The strong winds and wild waves of the sea represent our walks in life, all the trials, distractions, and fears. God calls us to put our faith in Jesus, jump in, and run to him. When you make the decision to step out of the boat and walk on the water towards Jesus just like Peter did, You are stepping onto the waters in confidence through your faith and trust in Jesus' promises. Your faith in him is strong and secure. You start out with this confidence, but eventually you may reach a point where your confidence falters. You see the winds of life, and you're distracted by fears or other things in life. You take your eyes off Jesus for a moment as you're overtaken by these buffeting winds, just like Peter. You sink just like Peter did when he took his eyes off Jesus and allowed himself to be distracted by the fears and challenges of life. When you take your eyes off Jesus and your faith falters even for a moment, the reactions to that change are immediate. I can't imagine Peter began to sink slowly at all. I imagine as soon as he took his faith and trust in Jesus off, he plummeted. In a split second, there was nothing firm for him to stand on when he lost his focus and stopped trusting in Jesus, and the waters surged up and around him as he was sucked down into the cold, dark waters. We also plummet when we lose our focus on Jesus. Maybe we become overtaken by fear. Maybe we become concerned with other things in life. Maybe we forget our commitment to Jesus, as well as his to us. No matter the cause, we immediately spiral downwards, and sometimes farther away from God. It's when you reach this point that you must remember Jesus. He's standing ahead of you, and he's never stopped beckoning to you to keep coming to him. He's already reaching out to you. He never left. Even when you thought you couldn't see him anywhere, he was right there. You may be crashing beneath the waves, but he's already there, asking you to remember him and put your faith in him. You've already come this far, and he's asking you to keep trusting him because he won't let you drown. He's the only one who can save you, and the only one you should truly trust. He's right there to help you when you put your faith and trust in him. Peter called out, "Lord, save me!" in desperation as the waters closed in on him, and Jesus was there in an instant, taking Peter by the hands and pulling him out of the waters and into the safety of his loving embrace. All Peter had to do was call out and take Jesus' hand. It's the same for you. You must call to him, and you have to take his hand. Reaching out to take it is a symbol of faith. He's already there to bring you back to safety, but you have to trust him and place your faith back on him. You must believe him. When you do, his response is immediate. He's there before you call, and he won't hesitate to take your hand for even a moment. He won't reject you even though you doubted him and got lost along the way. He doesn't punish you for your faltering faith. Instead, he'll take your hands in his own and lead you back to safety in him. Just like Peter, he's got you, even when you forget that he does. And just like Peter and the rest of the disciples when they realized this, you can say, "Truly, Jesus, you are the Son of God. I worship you. I keep my faith and trust in you, Lord." What an amazing thing it is to be loved by God. What an amazing thing it is to trust in him and worship him, for he cares for you. All you have to do is continually trust him, put your faith in him, obey his commands, and follow him.